Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Excellent, man. Excellent. It's a fun weekend of college football. It wasn't fun for the first couple hours of that Georgia-Auburn game, but it ended up fun in the end. And just seeing Kirby Smart's like reaction to the game and everything just kind of was awesome. Just kind of seeing some videos. Like we went with like our instant reaction, so we didn't necessarily have time to like see everything from that game. But so do you have any like further thoughts as we kind of close the chapter on the Deep South's oldest rivalry?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can start with the big thing that everyone's been talking about, which is the officiating. Yeah, I mean, we got the immediate reaction to the goal line fumble play and then the timeout fiasco. I don't think that – I mean, maybe this is just me being – maybe I'm just a biased Georgia fan, but, like, I don't think that it was as egregious. That fumble play was some robbery of the game, like a lot of people seem to be saying. I thought C.J. Allen punched that ball out before it crossed the goal line, and Kyron Jones recovered it. And I'm not really mad at them not giving Georgia the touchdown, but like technically that's probably what should have happened instead of Auburn scoring a touchdown. So as much has been made of the refs, being the ones that decided this game, I don't think that's true. I think it has more to do with Auburn getting held to 40 yards of total offense in the second half and Georgia making the plays when it needed to. But not a great game by Georgia either.
Yeah, I think two things can be true. And Thomas T-Bone chiming in here. Go Dawgs. Yeah. Thomas, appreciate you watching live. But two things can be true. These refs could have done an awful job and also not decided the game. Mm-hmm. Like, because you look at those two plays, because I've thought more and more about it, just seeing so many opinions about the goal line play. And it's like, it is super close. At the end of the day, you fumbled. You fumbled on the goal line. Like maybe you fumbled an inch after you crossed the goal line. Maybe it was an inch before, but like you did fumble and you left that up to the referee. Like the defense made a play, punched the ball out. You didn't clearly score. So it's like you can't even really be that mad. Like you're kind of bailed out if you get a touchdown there because Georgia made a play. You just kind of got lucky that you were an inch across the goal line at that point. So I as big as it was, I don't think you can just act like you got cheated because you should have been up 17-0. Like, it's definitely not that simple.
Yeah, I agree. I think you could definitely argue that it wasn't a great call, but, like, you go back and you watch the broadcast, like, those commentators were acting like it was the worst call of all time. I mean, McDonough was like, oh, I can't believe that I don't see it at all. What are they looking at? It's like, it wasn't that level of a call, man. It wasn't Saints-Rams 2018, NFC title game. Like, it wasn't that. I think it was a perfectly reasonable call to be like, yeah, that ball came loose before the goal line. It did.
For sure. Like, it's clearly close. Yeah. Like, whatever you want to call, like, it's close. And that's what the annoying part was watching the broadcast is it felt like they weren't even acknowledging that it was close. They were just like, oh, well, it should be 17-0. Georgia's got the ball in the next possession. Yeah, it's like, well, after that last possession, it should be 17. Like, they kept mentioning it, and it's like it wasn't a bad enough call to just continue to mention it. It was just, like, poorly officiated because how long did it take? I think I've seen the stat that, like, the last 2 minutes took, like, 32 minutes of, like, actual time or something like that. And it's like that's an officiating error, Mm-hmm. Like, you have to clear that up. Like, I guarantee you if they opened up the replay review stuff like the ACC did, it's not going to take 32 minutes. No. Like, I guess obviously the one review didn't take 32 minutes, but like, it's not going to take that long. No. Like, you're going to speed it up. And I really do wonder what the call is if they call touchdown on the field. Like, do they overturn it? Because personally, I don't think he scored. I think I took a screenshot just kind of on my phone when I was rewatching it and then kind of like drew the line on my Apple photos, but like I think, like, because you can kind of pair up the two videos, the pylon cam is just an absolutely perfect view of it. Yeah. But then you have like the more high definition view, like actually of the pile, and CJ Allen clearly jars it loose the second his hand comes in there. So it's like if you pair that up with his hand coming in there and knowing As soon as his hand gets in there, he no longer has control of it. And you see the biggest thing the pylon cam showed was his hands shift. And as soon as his hands shift around the ball, he doesn't have control of it anymore. Like, that's why his hand, Jackson Arnold's hands moved. So, yeah, it was clearly close. So I don't understand the people just acting like they got robbed. And then the other one that everyone's talking about that we really didn't have the hindsight of, or the full picture of, and when we went live, was the timeout. And it at least makes a lot more sense when Kirby Smart is saying, no, I'm saying they were clapping, because it was like some straight Alex Rodriguez versus the Red Sox thing. You remember that, where he like knocks the ball out of the pitcher's hand, and he's like, no, this is just my normal running motion. What do you mean? And it's like, dude, no, we all saw you just slap the ball out of his hand. Like, it looked like Kirby's saying, no, I'm just clapping. And then he's like clearly calling timeout. So it makes more sense to know, no, they're clapping, they're clapping. And you heard like even the hot mic pick it up too.
Yeah.
But with all that said, he still called timeout. Like, why is it not a timeout? He's clearly signaling timeout, and the ref gave the timeout. So either it's a penalty on Auburn for the whole disconcerting signals or whatever, or it's a delay of game, or it's a timeout for Georgia, and they just chose none of the above. So it was, I don't know, at least Georgia. And that's another thing, as controversial as that was, honestly, the call on Cash Jones is probably worse.
Terrible call.
That's not a blind side. The dude sees him. He's kind of coming parallel at him. Yeah, it's a terrible call. Maybe it's a makeup call, but Georgia ends up with 0 points on that drive. So, yeah, that goal line play, I mean, theoretically, it should have been a 14-point swing because it should have been a touchdown for Georgia. But it's like that didn't – I mean, it took whatever. Georgia ends up 10-3, right? You can say it took points off the board, I guess, if you want, as an Auburn fan. But the timeout didn't have a point, whatever I'm trying to say, penalty. There was no points from that bad decision, from that referee mistake. So it's like that was kind of a no harm, no foul. So as the bad of a job as it felt like the refs did, they didn't actually decide this game.
Yeah, 100%. I think that timeout call was definitely horribly managed by the referees, as impassioned of a defense as Kirby Smart gave after the game for like, no, I was calling him out because they're clapping and that's a penalty. Like, you see on the camera, he does this. This is not clapping. You don't clap doing that. But I agree. I mean, it didn't decide the game. I think that people kind of lose the concept of like, you can have bad officiating in a game that doesn't decide the game. And I think that's just what happened here. But yeah, that goal line play was, I've heard the argument that like, Auburn was so dejected after the way that the half ended that it killed all the momentum they had. And that's why they came out all flat in the second half. But it's like, that's kind of more of a you problem to me than something reflecting on the refs. Like if you're going to be that depressed about that one call and it's going to inhibit your ability to, play football, like, I think that kind of falls on the coaching a little bit. I mean, you listen to Hugh Freeze's halftime, conference with the sideline reporter, and he was like, trashing the call and talking about how unfair it was, and it's okay for him to feel that way, but I just feel like his attitude about it was so negative that maybe it permeated onto the rest of the team, and that's why we saw the second half that we did.
Dude, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. Like I said something similar, because it was what you're saying about, oh, that's why we lost, because the fans are so, like, I think that is true, and it shouldn't be true, but it was true, and it's 100% because of Hugh Freeze. Like the way he was talking to that reporter, it felt like they just lost. For one, it felt like the game was over. Like it felt like this was a post-game interview. Like, and it felt like you just lost. Like, it's like, dude, like, I don't know, the way he stopped himself from talking multiple times, like, because he probably didn't want to get fined for criticizing officiating. Like, it's just, he was so, like, the way he laughed, like, maybe we'll catch a break one of these days. It's like, you have a second half to play. Like, what are you, I don't know. It was just, he was so rattled that I 100% agree with you. Like, they lost that game when they went to the locker room, just with the vibes they came out in the second half with.
Yeah, and obviously Georgia's defense, got their crap together for the second half, which is definitely the biggest, I guess, on-field reason for that game turning the tide. But really, I mean, Auburn looked so defeated after the first half. It's like, you guys are winning. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, it was weird. And I do feel a lot of Auburn fans' frustration about this game. I'm not going to sit here and act like they have no right to be angry with the way that it was handled by the officials, but I can't get on board with this whole idea that the referees caused Auburn to lose the game. I just can't. And maybe that's me being a biased Georgia guy, but I don't think that, Auburn had it and they were going to win and the refs made them lose. I just don't agree with that assessment.
Well, and that's like where I might give them some credit is like just being at a college football game these days, and the timeouts and the commercials just totally take you out of it so often. And there was just so many reviews in this game and stoppages that like maybe it felt like the crowd was kind of taken out of the game early on, like, I mean, that's definitely an excuse, but like I can kind of understand because this game did have like an exceptional amount of breaks, it seemed like. So I can understand that a little bit, but even like getting back to Hugh Freeze, like that was part of the halftime thing. He said like, oh, there's so many stoppages. I don't know how many timeouts they gave Georgia. Like as if your team didn't also get a break when all these stoppages
Auburn had to keep playing.
Yeah, like it's so weird to act like Georgia's not doing any of this like faking injuries or something. Like there's nothing like that Georgia was doing to feel like, oh, the refs are just unnecessarily measuring too many 3rd and shorts or something. Like that's not a Georgia thing. Like, I don't know. So it's just another thing that it felt like Hugh Freeze was rattled by. And yeah, I mean, I did expect to get Auburn's best game of the season playing at home for once, or them playing at home for once this year. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. How much longer does the Hugh Freeze tenure really last? Like at this point?
Not much longer. And I just think that right now this game is being spun as Auburn got robbed. And in a lot of ways, they did kind of get robbed. That that timeout thing was ridiculous. I fully agree with Auburn fans there. But right now, the game is being spun like that. But I think in a few, I don't know, weeks, months, maybe, whenever the time comes where Auburn is trying to fire Hugh Freeze and their fans are justifying it, they're going to come back to this game a lot, I think. And Hugh Freeze is just overall, the way that he acted, his decorum, I guess you could say, just everything that he did following that fumble on the goal line is just like, this guy's not the coach for Auburn. I mean, this is not a guy that you want. This guy that's going to point fingers and make excuses, like in the middle of the game too. I mean, it was crazy to watch. Like, so I don't know. That would be my biggest takeaway from that game, from an Auburn perspective, is like the officiating was bad, but the way Hugh Freeze handled it was arguably even worse. And Auburn kind of felt like they had lost the game before it was even over in that second half. I mean, they looked so inspired in that first half. They looked so fired up. They looked so ready to go. They were killing Georgia. They were murdering them.
Yeah, and that defense is legit too. And you're an offensive-minded guy, and now this is year 3 of your offense just being awful. Like
horrible. And you see it there with Auburn. They've got a good defense. They've got really talented guys on the perimeter on offense. Cam Coleman is going to be one of the best players in the NFL one day, but it's not coming together for one reason or another. They're just kind of they sleptwalked through that second half. They felt like they played like they played like they were already losing, and that's a coaching thing. Compare that with Georgia.
They've scored 37 points total in their 3 SEC games this year. But, I don't think there's a lot of teams that have played as tough of a slate as at Oklahoma, at A&M, and Georgia in their first 3 games. So it's in their first 3 SEC games, but it's tough. Like, you look at their schedule: Missouri, at Arkansas, Kentucky, at Vanderbilt, Mercer, and then you get Alabama. Like, a normal Auburn team should beat all of those teams. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, Missouri is definitely better. I would say Missouri is definitely better than Auburn right now. It wouldn't shock you just in general for Auburn to go out and beat Missouri, but I don't know with how much like negativity it feels like there's around Hugh Freeze. I don't know. I'm curious to like what the quit, like, just like what the, I don't know, the quit potential is in this team. Like, Because there's a lot of winnable games, and theoretically, if this team went 9-3, I'm not saying they're going to rattle off 6 straight here. Like, they probably have the schedule that they could get some playoff love. I don't know. It's a whole process of a rankings thing, but I don't know. It's they're not thinking college football playoff or anything right now on the plains, but yeah, it's a ridiculous schedule this year. But I don't know. At this point, Vanderbilt, Missouri will be favored. I mean, at Arkansas, I don't know. I don't know how many wins they even get on this slate, even though it's traditionally Auburn's better than all of these teams remaining on their schedule, other than Alabama. And I think that's kind of the problem why you want to fire Hugh Freeze, because you should feel really good about this next 5-game stretch before Alabama, and who knows how many Auburn will even be favored in.
Yeah, that'll be weird to see for sure. I mean, I can totally see them giving Alabama the game of their life, though. Like, that seems entirely possible to me. I mean, they are a tough team and they're really talented, but when you lose, I mean, they've now lost 2 games to rival schools that they feel like the referees jobbed them. And that's a really tough thing to come back from mentally if you really get to feeling sorry for yourself about it. But if they just say, hey, we're going to just pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and go back to work and not worry about it, yeah, they could have a crazy stretch down the year. We'll see. That would be crazy.
And I mean, that's not an invalid argument in defending Hugh Freeze. Like, Oklahoma, they absolutely did get hosed. Everyone talks about the player that was on the sideline or whatever for that touchdown that should have been a penalty. But I think that scoop and score on the first drive that they end up calling an incomplete pass was the really bad one that took 7 points off the board for Auburn. So I guess I can't understand that. You talk about the strength of schedule, and then the fact that you feel like 2 of your 3 losses, the refs just totally hosed you. Then maybe you don't put it all on Hugh Freeze. But yeah, I mean, this team has an SEC championship, if not a national championship level defense. Like, they're legit defensively. And if they had a quarterback with a pulse, like, this could be an actual contender this year. But I think Jackson Arnold kind of showed what he is in this game. He can run a little bit. He was doing to what Georgia does in a lot of these games, is just kind of giving up these little short plays, just giving up first downs. Like, I don't know. Still did way better on third down in this game than they'd done in previous games. But I don't know. I was just trying to, when I rewatched this game, I was trying to kind of figure out, like, I'm not the X's and O's guy, so I'm not going to tell you what Georgia was doing differently in the second half versus the first half, but it seemed like almost identical personnel in the second half as the first half. Like, maybe Ja'Cory Thomas played a little bit more, but it was kind of that same rotation on the D line and I don't know, I mean, the same linebackers and everything playing. Like, it was Ellis Robinson, DeMello Jones a little bit, but mainly Ellis Robinson at that second corner spot. But yeah, it was mainly the same personnel. So it's interesting how what we thought, kind of, especially what I thought in our newcomer draft, what Elo Mendoza was going to be. Because, I mean, I think he did get a pressure at some point late in this game. But, I mean, I haven't seen the snap count. I think someone has put that out. But, I mean, this guy's clearly he's playing like 10% of the game, essentially. Like, it's Quintavious Johnson, like, basically every single snap, and Gabe Harris playing a good bit too. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Elo Mendoza, kind of what we thought he was going to be versus the actual impact he's made.
Yeah, I think at this point in the season, it's safe to say that that's like not the addition that many people were hoping that it would be. It was always kind of wishful thinking to be like, we're going to get this Army transfer at the end of April who's going to, like, single-handedly make the pass rush good. Like, that was probably never going to happen at all, but he hasn't really done anything. I mean, he hasn't been a major contributor at all this year, really. Maybe he's helped out more in the run game than I'm realizing, but yeah, that was a big takeaway for me. Like, I kept screaming about it after the game. Like, they don't have a pass rush, and it's mid-October. They don't look like they're going to get one. It just kind of looks like it is what it is. And there's a lot of things that you could point to with Georgia and say, like, that's a concern. They didn't run the ball that well against Auburn. They didn't protect the quarterback that well. The DBs, had their moments. But I really think that the pass rush is what's going to hold this team back from true national title contention. Although there's not really any elite teams this year in college football, so everybody does have their weaknesses, but Georgia looks like it's got a pretty big one.
Yeah, and if anything, it feels like everyone has their flaws of those top teams. So, whose flaw is the one that cost them at the big moment? We'll see. Like, at least Georgia is a battle-tested team at this point. So, we don't know how good necessarily some of these opponents are until we get to the end of the season. But yeah, it just feels like a win in prime time and Jordan-Hare is always going to be a good thing it's always going to be a big win from a Georgia standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Anytime you can win there, it's a huge deal. And I think 9 or whatever the winning streak is at now, I'm not sure if it's at 9 games. It might be at 7 or something because of the
9 in a row.
But yeah, so it is 9 in a row. That's the longest streak that either of these teams have had in this rivalry. So that's a huge deal to have that now. And the 2020s where everyone has a chance at being good. It's wild.
For sure. Kirby 10-1 overall and a 9-game winning streak on Auburn and a 9-game winning streak on Tennessee. That's pretty strong. And I guess he'd be going for an 8-game winning streak versus Georgia Tech this year because they also lost in 2016 like they did to Tennessee and then didn't play in 2020, right?
Oh yeah, they didn't play in 2020. Yeah.
So this would be the 8th. So they won 7 in a row right now versus Tech. So to win those rivalries, and then what? I guess you're looking at 8 of the last 9 versus Florida. So I think if my math is right, 7 of the last 8. I'm not sure. 7 of the last 8.
Yeah.
Versus Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the goalpost has kind of moved in the rivalry game, and Alabama's kind of the number 1 rivalry, but we won't talk about that one. The traditional rivals, Georgia has got a chokehold on all of those,
which we should not forget about. I like that. That's a pretty big deal compared to how much is made of the Alabama thing. Which the Alabama thing is real. Alabama does own Georgia. Neither of us disagree with that, but
not anymore.
It's pretty it's very impressive how Georgia has been able to own these traditional rivals, like you say. I mean, that's for to hire an alum like Kirby Smart as your coach and then have him do that, that's special.
Yeah, and this is going to be the biggest Georgia Tech game I can remember in a long time. There haven't been many games where Georgia and Georgia Tech are potentially both in the top 10. It's a long time from there. We're a long way away from both these teams. They could both be unranked by the time we get to the last week of November. But yeah, it's always big to beat the rival. Also, the last thing I'll say about this game, and we've probably gone a little too long on going our final thoughts on Auburn, but I feel like I've heard people, specifically the Cover 3 podcast, so maybe I'm singling those guys out, talking about Gunnar Stockton, he's kind of what's holding back this team. And I just think that's a really weird narrative at this point. I don't think Gunnar Stockton is a Heisman Trophy winner or anything, but I mean, Gunnar Stockton was kind of the best thing this offense had on Saturday. Led the team in rushing when you couldn't run the ball. Basically had to throw because Georgia was not able to run on Auburn at all, and you were still found a way to win. Not only in Jordan-Hare, but also at what he did in Knoxville earlier this season. I just think that's. Gunnar Stockton is as good or more or better than I could have possibly realistically hoped for coming into this season.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous to say. To watch Georgia this year and all the things that they don't do well and all the things that they've struggled with, and then land on the quarterback play as the thing that's holding them back is just that's really ridiculous to me. You watch that, look at that Tennessee game, man. Some of the throws he made in that game with his back against the wall. Even against Auburn, there were some huge moments in that game where they needed him to come up big, and he made some big plays. That kind of, I don't want to say it factor because that's a strong term, but that quality of, when you need it the most, you've got to have it. Gunnar Stockton has had it the whole season this year, and there are definitely things that other quarterbacks around the country do better than him, but there aren't many quarterbacks that are better at just coming through in the big moments when you absolutely need it the most. So I'm not sure how you watch Georgia's offense and decide on that. Gunnar Stockton's play being the thing that, quote unquote, holds them back. But I don't know. Maybe I've got to check that podcast out. Maybe those guys have some killer arguments about why Gunnar Stockton is not good.
Nah, they're just haters, man. I feel like the cover three, they're just haters. Anyone who doesn't like my team is a hater.
People just I think people just read too much into quarterback play in general. It is the number one thing that football fans do when they're talking about a team is the team good or not, is the quarterback good or not. And
yeah, but that's how people convince themselves Florida was a top 10 team. Although the quarterbacks was holding them back at this point. So I don't know. But yeah, and I feel like there's this same kind of, this is like a generalization for sure, fair or unfair. I feel like a lot of those cover three guys fall in the same kind of demographic of people that kind of thought Stetson sucks and he can't win anything at Georgia. And then as soon as he leaves, it's like, how do you replace Stetson? You know, it's like the best. It's like, well, you guys thought he sucked for like 2 years, basically. So I don't know. There's just some of those people that I feel like kind of think that way. They also made fun of Ladd McConkey for a while. Maybe it's just because of his name. But it's like, I don't know. It's like Ladd McConkey is a straight up playmaker. He's a playmaker in the NFL. Like,
shout out to him.
But yeah, big time play this past Sunday. But yeah, on that last drive, I was trying to count while we were talking here. At least 3 third downs Gunnar converted on that last drive. I think 4 third downs actually. Then I had the 4th down completion. That was one to Humphrey, I believe. Right? Was that a 4th down?
Yes.
And Humphrey had a clutch 3rd down catch, I think, on that last drive as well. And then he runs for the touchdown. That was another 3rd down conversion as well. So Gunnar's making plays. And I think, I don't know how good this Georgia team is, but it feels better than a year ago. Like, I don't know that they're a better team than a year ago, but it feels better than a year ago. And I think it's just something about the vibes, the Carson Beck stuff, also the turnovers. Like, say what you want about Carson Beck, how good or bad he is. The turnovers were happening, you know? So, yeah. So it's like this team, for all their struggles, for their sleepwalking through the first 2 quarters of games, there's something about this team that feels like a collective unit that, like, they've found ways to win so far. And other than Alabama, every game so far. So,
yeah. I don't know how I would compare it to last year's team. Last year's team is just very different, has different strengths and different weaknesses. You know, this year they can run the ball, except for last week. Last year they could actually get to the quarterback. This year they take better care of the ball. Last year their DBs were playing better. So it's like, I don't know. It kind of depends on what you value. We've got to see how the rest of the season goes, but it doesn't look like a national championship team right now. But how many teams really do is the question.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe that's a good exercise. Maybe we should say that segment, compare this year's team versus last year's team. But moving forward, sir, did you have anything you wanted to get to before we got into this this Ole Miss preview? You mentioned one other thing.
What did I mention?
No. We can get into let's get into Ole Miss.
We can get to
and we can touch on this loaded slate of SEC games here at the end. But Ole Miss Rebels and Georgia Bulldogs are coming to your city. College game day, sir. So I have some college game day stats for you. Some people get excited about the college game day stuff. I think you're one that doesn't. You don't really care about.
I like it. It's just like,
in terms of, you don't get worked up about if they chose.
Oh no, I don't get in my feelings when Georgia doesn't get it. I don't think it's a big deal. But when we do get it, I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm with you. Have you ever been to game day?
No, I haven't. I should try to go this weekend. I almost went one time as a student, but I overslept.
Nice. So what year are we talking? That would have been what, 2021? You overslept?
I'm talking
Arkansas, Kentucky.
2021 Arkansas. Yeah. When it was game day for Kentucky, I didn't even care because I don't ever care about the Kentucky game ever.
I know what you
Arkansas
mean.
game. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to that. I slept too late.
A little disappointed in you. Kirby said to bring the energy early, and you overslept for game day. So we won't get into that right now, Bo. But
the game, they did fine in that game.
Absolutely. So I started looking at some of the stats. So this is the 42nd appearance that Georgia's had on college game day, tied for 4th all time now with Oklahoma, and they're only 1 behind Florida. So with how Florida's season's been going recently, they could be 3rd all time in game day appearances by this year or next year. But they're 21-20 all time when they're game day.
Wow, that's pretty even.
However, only the 11th time that game day has ever been to Athens. So 42nd time ever, only 11th time in Athens. First 22 years college game day existed, they went to Athens 3 times. This will now be the 8th time game day has been in Athens in the last 7 seasons under Kirby Smart. So I think there's a clear difference. When Georgia's this good, they're playing in a lot more big time games. And for those of you wondering, 1998 Tennessee was college game day. Georgia lost. Mark Richt, game day was only in Athens twice for his entire 15-year tenure. 2008 Alabama, we all know how that turned out. And then 2013, it turns out that we're just not going to wear the best looking uniforms in college football ever again. That's how it turned out. And then 2013 LSU, which is just one of the best games ever. That was just an incredible shootout. But yeah, so now this is the 8th time game day has been there, and just Kirby's 10th season. So it's a clear difference. And Georgia's 7-0 in these games.
Really?
Do you want me to tell you the games, or do you want to try to name them?
Oh, I don't know if I can name all of them. Game day has not come to Athens since 2022, I'm assuming.
Incorrect.
Really?
It's been there every year since 2019.
Oh wow! Well, look at me being an idiot. Okay. So I'll start 2021.
And twice 1 year.
2021 they had 2 because they had Kentucky and then Arkansas.
There you go.
22 they had Tennessee.
There you go.
Let's see. 23. Ooh.
Top 10 matchup
against an SEC team.
Absolutely.
Tennessee again?
Incorrect. You're on the wrong year, though. You're on the wrong year because
they did have they had Tennessee in 2024.
2024 was Tennessee.
Okay, yeah. Well, that.
So we'll leave the 2023.
Yeah, okay, I got 3.
We'll save the 2023 one for last because, for obvious reasons, we'll get to.
Well, okay. I know who it was then. All right. Yeah,
it was the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So 2019, I think you could probably remember that if you thought about it. Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
This big time atmosphere and everything. And then 2020 was Auburn.
Okay.
I think that was Stetson's first.
Was Auburn ranked at that point?
I think they were ranked, and it's like the Stetson story was also like a big thing too.
Yeah. That was like the first wave of Stetson because it was like before.
Yeah,
because remember
it was like, check this guy out.
It got started with like the Stetson machine after like the Arkansas game and everything. It was like, look at this walk on. He's one of these little kid. I think there was 4 picks against Bama, and everyone was like, all right, well, that's the last we've seen of that guy.
Pretty much. He still got a few more starts, right? Because he started Florida, and then I think the Florida one.
Florida was what really.
Did he and Juan Mathis like both throw 3 picks or something in that game? It was insane.
I have their stat line like almost memorized because I was just writing. I was writing a YouTube video the other day, and I had it in there. They combined to go like 9 of 29 in that game for like 115 yards and like 3 picks. Like it was really bad.
Oh man. So 2020 Auburn was that last one. We won't get into the negative. We'll focus on the positive. The 7-0 is my final thought on Georgia hosting college game day under Kirby Smart. So, take that for what it's worth. Georgia's done well in these big time environments at home under Kirby Smart. So, like I said, 2023, last time Ole Miss Rebels, and Ole Miss was like an every year thing for a while for Georgia. I don't know if you realize that, but like before they updated the rotation, when did the rotation get kind of updated in the 12 team playoff? Like Georgia and Ole Miss played like every year from like the 80s to in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Am I looking at that right?
People forget about that.
Yeah, and so this was kind of a little low-key rivalry. And I guess what is it, up to 2001, 2002, then I think that rotation kind of changed.
Because I'm sure divisions got it.
Yeah, so they used to play every year there for a while.
Kind of owns the rivalry series. I'm looking at it now.
33-13-1 all time.
Like,
and one of the rare cases of it being worse under Kirby Smart than it is
under everyone else.
everyone else. So he's actually only 1-2 against Ole Miss.
I was gonna that might be. I mean, other than obviously the team in Tuscaloosa, that's got to be one of the only SEC schools that Kirby Smart has a losing record against, because LSU, I'm sure he does as well. But
yeah, I think LSU. I was just thinking that 1-2, right? Because they played in 2 SEC championships.
Yeah, he's only beaten them once, I think, because they got thrashed the other 2 times that they played them. But that's really interesting, because Ole Miss is like 11-33 all time against Georgia, and then under Kirby they're 2-1. And last year's loss was really one of the more ugly, just bad tasting losses that I think Georgia has ever had under Kirby Smart, man. I mean, the weather was bad, the performance was bad. Beck had a bunch of turnovers, and it was just a nightmare of a game. It was ugh.
I know, and especially how it started too. It's like there was such promise because Georgia forced the turnover, and Dart went to the locker room on that first possession. And so this was like a week or 2 after Texas, right? I think it was just after the Florida game. So you're just like, this is who we are. All right.
It was after the Florida game. Yeah.
So it's like, we're just a dominant defense right now. We just create havoc, like that's who we are now. And then it's like the final 50 minutes of just getting dominated, basically. This is my first episode, and actually of the instant reaction podcast, or the instant reaction show. So that was a lot of fun. It being like the biggest beatdown I can ever remember under a Kirby Smart coach team, and just uncompetitive. But yeah, these last 2 games have been very different between these two, because 28-10 a year ago in Oxford. But when College Game Day was in town last time, and I think I'm sure Georgia was number 1 at that point, because they're number 1 most of that season. I think Ole Miss, I want to say, was like number 8 or 9, I think, coming into that one. And Georgia won 52-17. And I think they were a big, like, first half, right? I remember, did Javon Bullard got like a pick on the sideline? I remember before the half.
Yeah.
It was like 28, 30 points, I think, at halftime in this one. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but yeah, so I feel like there's a tendency, it feels like, for people to kind of give the coaching edge, as much as people know Coach Kirby Smart is like maybe the best coach in college football. Most would have him number 1 on a list. It feels like when Kirby's going up against these offensive-minded coaches, people just believe in the offensive-minded coach more. Like Kalen DeBoer's got his number. It's like, maybe he might. George also shut him out for another 2 quarters. But it's kind of like a narrative thing. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, Lane Kiffin's that next offensive guru that's just kind of got Kirby's number. But obviously Kirby's what? 4-0, 5-0 versus Heupel, 2-0 versus Sarkisian. So there's plenty of good offensive coaches that Kirby has had success again. Like, also Nick Saban's not an offensive coach, and he was dominating him. But so I don't know. It feels like Kirby and Lane Kiffin is like the rivalry that like college football wants. Like, they want this to be a thing, like Georgia, Ole Miss, former Saban guys. Like, they're just 2 of the bigger personalities in the sport right now. And I don't know if Ole Miss comes into Sanford Stadium and gets a win, maybe it does become that kind of a rivalry.
Absolutely. I mean, Kiffin and Kirby go way back. Like that's good grounds for a rivalry there. I mean, Kiffin deserves a ton of respect. I think he might be the best situational play caller in college football, in terms of like, he just always has the right play when depending on what the defense is in, I feel like. And last year we definitely saw that to a T. But Ole Miss deserves a lot of credit, man, because I mean, you and I'm sure you want to, if you can go back to our shows during July and August and stuff, like, I was saying that this was going to be like a rebuilding year for Ole Miss. I think a lot of people felt the same way, that, they lost a ton of talent to the NFL. They had a great roster last year that, they came up short against Florida and Kentucky and missed the playoff with a roster that probably should not have missed the playoff. And they have done an excellent job this year of reloading. I mean, their quarterback isn't even the guy that I thought it was going to be, that most people thought it was going to be. You were certainly on that. But but most other people didn't think that was going to be the case. You know, they have a new running back.
I'll say before you give me too much credit, I was high on Austin Simmons coming into the year, but after like a game or two, I definitely jumped on the Trinidad Chambliss bandwagon.
You were like, dude, Chambliss is good. I was like, nah. But no, it's 5 weeks later. Chambliss is balling out. I know that they had a shaky game last week against Wazoo that we'll talk more about. But yeah, what I was saying was just like Ole Miss really was not, I think, looked at as like a team that was ready to immediately contend for a championship this year. But that's exactly what they've gone out there and done. And they, even after a frustrating game last week against Washington State, I think they're going to come in this game with plenty of confidence because they've done a lot of things this year that people didn't think they were going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think that's true. I'm definitely someone who thought last year was like going to be the best team that Kiffin ever had. Like he just doesn't consistently have that like NFL talent on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side of the ball at the same time. And I mean, I guess they played most of the season without what's his name, the receiver who's so good that they had a year ago. Like he missed most of the year, right?
Harris.
Yeah, Trey Harris.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kiffin feels a little like Heupel in the sense of like, I feel like there's this perception because they're these offensive guys that they just throw it all around. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people give them the credit for just pounding the rock the way they do. Yeah, they just always do. They're always one of the top running teams in the country. And same with it this year. Kawan Lacey is 587 yards and 8 touchdowns to this point. But yeah, Chambliss right now completing 65%, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, what's he got on the ground? Almost 300 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns.
I mean, what a find Chambliss was, dude. Like the story of how he got to Ole Miss is insane. I mean, he was at Ferris State, balling out at Ferris State, and was like, all right, I guess I'll go into the portal and just kind of see what's out there, which is, you know, something I'm sure a lot of Division II football players do this era. And he was like locked in, gonna go to Temple. Like Temple, I actually feel kind of bad for them. I mean, very bad for them. Like they had invested a lot of resources and time into getting this kid, and like they were going to make him their quarterback. And then at the 11th hour, Lane struts on in like, I guess we need a backup quarterback. Do you want to come play for the SIP, son? And then that's exactly what happened. You know, they just threw more money at him than Temple could afford to offer. And I mean, look where they've gotten, man. Like he's a really good player. Kawan Lacey is an awesome running back. I don't know how much of that Washington State game that you were able to watch, but I caught a little bit of it when I thought Washington State was going to like do it and win.
Yeah.
And Lacey was the one that really like helped win them that game. He's an awesome running back. He runs with a lot of attitude. He runs through contact. His legs are just always churning. Like he's a tough runner. And yeah, you're right. You know, people pencil Kiffin in as like, you know, finesse, spread, RPO boy, but they are very good at keeping that thing on the ground. They do a very good job.
Yeah, for sure. Lacey this year, 28 for 138 against Kentucky, 24 for 142 last week versus Washington State, 23 for 87 versus LSU. Only 17 for 44 against Arkansas. So they were able to keep him in check a little bit, but he also had 40 yards receiving in that game. But yeah, he's a playmaker. That's one. He's definitely a guy who worries me in this game. But also, like we've seen how quarterbacks have picked Georgia apart at this so far at times this season, and Aguilar has a little bit of that athleticism, definitely more than Ty Simpson. Although Ty Simpson, I think, ran for a first down or two.
Around two, though, yeah.
Yeah, he made it. So Chambliss is definitely more athletic than either of those guys. Mm-hmm. So he's a legit threat, like to run for a 40-yard touchdown. You know, not just pick up a first down. So that definitely worries me when I'm breaking down this matchup.
100%, and they've also got really good playmakers on the perimeter. I think. I was looking at their stats earlier. Harrison Wallace and Daquan Wright are both averaging over 20 yards a reception. Like your tight end averages over 20 yards a catch. Are you kidding me? Like they have an explosive offense, man. They can throw it over the top. They can run the ball. They can kill you with play action and when they want to. Like these guys just have playmakers all over the field. Deuce Alexander is a really good player. Like it might not be the loaded group that they had last year, but it's still really, really freaking good. And they've got guys that can kill you on all three levels of the field. It's a very varied passing attack. Like, this is as good of a, maybe not as good, but damn near like as good of an Ole Miss offense that they've ever had under Lane Kiffin. I mean, they're top three in the SEC and just about everything that I've seen from, at least. Like, it's a juggernaut offense, and it's a very scary matchup for a Georgia defense that has looked really, really shaky. I mean, the way that you shut down offenses like these with these kinds of playmakers everywhere is by getting to the quarterback, which Georgia has really struggled to do. So they matched up really well against Georgia last year, and they kind of do this year too.
See, that's what I wonder. So let me put the stats on the screen here. Is how do they truly match up against Georgia? Because so they've both played for, honestly, I realized when I was about 90% done with this, that I was counting Washington State as a Power 4 team. So forgive me, yeah, people out there. The Pac-12, it's still a power conference to me. So this is including Washington State stats, which you should throw out, but also at the same time, it's kind of consistent with like what they've done in the other games. So it's not much of an outlier necessarily. Probably one of their worst performance, if we're being honest. But looking at these stats against Power 4 competition so far this year, Georgia's averaging 30 points a game. And I would argue Georgia has played 4 better opponents. They both played Kentucky. Georgia's played at Auburn. And then the other 2, Tennessee and Alabama, are top 12 opponents at this point. All Ole Miss has played is, like I said, at Kentucky, and then Arkansas, LSU, definitely the best opponent. And then Washington State is also one of these 4. So I would say Georgia averaging 30 a game against better competition is a little more impressive at this point. The rushing yards per game is almost identical, but Ole Miss is thrown it a lot more. And then both pretty similar in terms of defensive points per game. Ole Miss allowing 24 a game in those games, Georgia at 22.3. But Georgia's got a significant edge in terms of run defense, giving up just over 100 at 106 yards a game, versus Ole Miss giving up 144 yards a game on the ground. Like that kind of surprised me. Yeah. So, and then both kind of similar as far as defense. Georgia's giving up more yards. I guess that's a little bit more. 253 a game versus 226. So, and then the final stat down there, Kirby 1-1 versus Kiffin with the 28-10 loss last year. That's the biggest thing I wonder about, is how battle tested this Ole Miss team is, because of all the teams in the top 10 right now, they definitely have the least impressive resume, in my opinion. If you're looking at maybe Ohio State, you don't necessarily know what they've played so far, but they just look so dominant. Yeah, like Miami and Indiana, I think have a more impressive resume to this point. A&M has a more legit resume to this point. Alabama has the loss, so not that I would rank some of these teams with a loss ahead of Ole Miss, but it's like even these teams that have losses have a 1 or 2 good wins at this point. So Ole Miss, I don't know. I mean, other than LSU, I guess I'm downplaying LSU. That's a good win. But they haven't. That's also the game where the offense looked the least impressive. So LSU's got a really good defense, probably a better defense than Georgia, I would say, to this point. So I do wonder about the resumes and kind of who has been more battle tested to this point.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is definitely Georgia, I think. That Ole Miss game was a pretty big win. I think you might be discounting it a little bit too much, but
LSU?
Yeah, I mean, Georgia did have to go into Neyland and beat Tennessee, and, Georgia played Alabama. They lost, but, they didn't get run out of the building or anything, and they did do some nice things in that game, even though they did lose. So, yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing. I think – if I had to, I hate to be like this, but if I had to say which team, are we going to learn more about in this game? I think the answer is probably Ole Miss, just because, this is going to be Chambliss's first road start in the SEC. They're coming off a game that was really close, and it shouldn't have been close. They're going to be hearing all of that. So this is kind of uncharted territory for this Ole Miss team. Not necessarily the case for Georgia, but yeah, I think we'll learn a lot about what kind of team they are. That run defense number is very interesting because, that was kind of the thing that decided the game last year, I thought, is Georgia ran the ball, didn't even average 2 yards a carry in that game. And, Nate Frazier fumbled twice. Carson Beck fumbled twice. think they lost 2 of those 4 fumbles in total. But
damn, is that right?
Yeah, like if Georgia can run the ball in this game, it's going to be very different because obviously last year, I think what decided that game was really Ole Miss slamming the door shut in the run game, daring Georgia to pass. Georgia couldn't throw the ball because they just couldn't, and it was raining on top of that. So that'll be a big thing, and they're not going to be in Oxford this time, so it should be a little bit easier for them to get the run game going. But we'll just have to see how legit this Ole Miss team really is. I don't doubt that it's very legit.
Yeah, that D-line is nasty, or was nasty a year ago, and I don't think they have that same level this year. Arkansas ran for 221 on them. I think they shut LSU down. LSU just had 57 yards on the ground against them. Washington State with 127. So was it Kentucky? Did Kentucky have a big game on the ground? Yeah, Kentucky had 172.
Can't throw the ball, so they had to.
Yeah, that's true. And more importantly, all of those were one-score games. Like Kentucky, like 30 to 23 over Kentucky. Like there were Georgia fans that weren't happy about 35-14 over Kentucky, you know? So 30 to 23, not exactly impressive. Arkansas definitely could have beaten them if they don't fumble on that final drive of the game. Like, in Arkansas, I mean, they can almost beat everybody. So it's hard to judge that. Like, I don't even want to say that's bad because I think Arkansas is like the best, 2-4 team I've ever seen, probably.
Yeah.
But and then LSU, like, how much better is LSU than Auburn? Like, just being honest, like when I'm
they're better than Auburn.
Like I was talking about those teams in the SEC that are like all kind of similar, that have elite defenses with subpar quarterback play. I mean, LSU, you kind of have to put in that.
LSU's subpar quarterback play is different from Auburn's subpar quarterback play. I know Nussmeier's been kind of disappointing this year, but he's not as bad as Arnold.
I would agree, in general, but he hasn't been great by any means. No, and this Auburn defense is nasty. So, and that's another, and Georgia played on the road as well. So I just, when I'm just kind of stacking up these resumes, and these resumes aren't everything because, that's how teams match up against each other. It feels like Georgia has the edge in just terms of just playing in just big time games to this point against better competition. And just going on the road, like 2 road games versus Tennessee and Auburn versus a road game at Kentucky. Like, with all due respect to Kentucky.
That's a big deal. And I don't want to overblow the road game thing too much because I did that a lot before the Alabama game, and Alabama turned out to just not really be fazed by it. I mean, they converted like their first 10 third downs or whatever, but it definitely does matter. I mean, Georgia's just I know the Kentucky game was there, but like, their last high-profile home game that everyone was watching, they lost, and they're going to want to come out there and defend that home field. They're not playing for that 33-game home winning streak anymore. So that's really going to matter, especially for a guy that played at Ferris State for however many years that he did, and now this is his first taste of like a real hostile SEC environment. Like, Georgia's going to need their fans to show up and be loud for this for sure, and You've got to get them in a hole early. Like, you can't let Ole Miss. I mean, after the way Auburn started off, Auburn probably would have been up. They would have been up 17-0 if they didn't fumble. Alabama got off to a hot start offensively after Georgia couldn't capitalize on some of those mistakes. Like, you cannot have another game where you just get kicked around in the first half. You're not going to come back from it every single time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about putting them in a hole in the first quarter, first half. I just want to not be in a hole in the first quarter, first half. But yeah, I mean, I think that is important. Like, was Alabama, were they up 21-7? I think they were up 14-0 at one point. Was it 21-7 in the second quarter? It
might have been like
17-7 and then 17-14, and then they made it 24-14 before the half. Yeah, you got to come out. You got to come out hot. Sanjay Ganor chiming in here. Do you think Ole Miss can score as much as Bama? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely do. I just don't think Georgia has a very good defense right now. It's just like the pass rush just never gets home and doesn't affect the quarterback much at all. And Ole Miss has a good running game. They've probably got an even better running game than Alabama has. Their quarterback play has been pretty good. It hasn't been Ty Simpson level just quite, but no, not many quarterbacks have. I mean, this is a good offense that has come in and, had a good game offensively against Georgia last year. I know the last time they came to Athens, they got shut down, but this is a different team, and it's a good offense with a good play caller. Like, they can score 24 points or more. I absolutely think they can.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And it's not like Alabama is putting up huge numbers either, like 24 against Georgia, 30 against Vanderbilt. And that's with that garbage time backdoor cover, right? Like with like 10 seconds left or whatever, they broke that like 20-yard run. And then 27 points versus Missouri, only scored 17 at Florida State. So Alabama's offense has, as good as it's looked the last couple weeks, it hasn't been flawless by any means. I do think Alabama's offense is better than Ole Miss's, though, in general. And if Georgia truly does just have this mental block, which when playing Alabama, I kind of hope it's true now, because then that means we do just beat everyone else. We'll play up to our standard against Ole Miss. We just don't play up to our standard against Alabama for whatever reason. No, just kind of kidding there. But I
don't though.
I think if well, in terms of like that means we're going to beat everyone else. But yeah, I mean, I think 24 points, like Georgia gave up 24 against Alabama, that should be good enough for the offense to score. And if things work out differently, certain plays are made and the situation is different, Georgia could have easily scored 31 against Alabama. But I think 24, if you can spot Ole Miss 24 points in Sanford Stadium, I mean, Georgia should win that game. Like, if you just know that Ole Miss scored 24, they almost scored. Did they score 24 the last time and lost by like 30? What it was in 2023, right? It was like 50 to 21 or something like that.
They had some window dressing at the end. I swear they were losing that game by like 45 at one point. I don't remember what the final was.
I was trying to.
I mean, they got mollywopped in that game.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not going to get mollywopped again.
Yeah, and it's one thing to talk about a result from last year being relevant to this year, much less a result that was 2 years ago, but 52-17 was the final score of that game. Yeah. And then, like you said, they scored I guess they only scored 3 points in the fourth quarter. So it was 28-14 at halftime, and then Georgia outscored them 24-3 in the second half. One of Ladd McConkey's more memorable plays where he almost freaked like 5 dudes to get into the end zone, but he went down to the one. Beck underthrew that one a little bit, but it's not 2023 anymore. It's 2025. And I look at this team and I personally think it's obviously not great what Georgia did a week ago at Auburn, but in terms of just what it means for just projecting moving forward, I felt like a character building win that you can I felt more confident about this team this year because they're running the ball better. And when you have a run game, you're just not one dimensional, especially someone like Georgia who just is running the ball is just ingrained in our DNA at Georgia. The fact that you got the shutdown on the ground, like even the Tennessee game, Gunner had to make a lot of plays. They ran for 200 yards in that game. The running game was taken off the table basically, and Gunner was able to still make the plays needed to win that game. I feel like it's really a really encouraging sign. I don't think Ole Miss's defense is as good as Auburn's defense, personally. I'm not sure there's many defenses in the SEC that are as good as Auburn's defense this year. Shout out to Blind Squirrel Sports who's tuning in live. Auburn allowing 2.2 yards per carry coming into the Georgia game. So he was not surprised that Georgia's run game struggled. Maybe I was just optimistic that Georgia would be able to run the ball well. But yeah, it's Auburn's been a really good defense this year. I trust that Georgia will be able to run the ball better at home and against not as elite of a front. Not that I'm disrespecting Ole Miss, but I don't think it's the same front that Auburn has.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers would certainly suggest that. I mean, Auburn doesn't even allow 90 yards per game on the ground. Ole Miss allows over 150 when they allow more rushing yards per game when you include non-Power 5 opponents or Power 4. I'm just looking at the stats on ESPN right now. It's just not the same.
They're worse than their cupcake games.
They on the season against everyone they've played, they've allowed 157.7 yards per game. That's bad, dude. That's not good at all. That's definitely going to be something that Georgia has to attack. I think in a game like this where, your defense, they've had really good halves. They had a great second half against Auburn. They have a great second half against Alabama, but they haven't really put together a complete performance yet this season. And when you're dealing with a defense like that that's struggling against as a pass rushing unit, struggling in the secondary, like you kind of got to play a little bit of keep away. And the way to do that is by running the ball. So Georgia coming out there with the home field advantage, after having lost the Alabama game, like they're going to have to control the pace of the game in order to win. And you've got to do that by having your run game keep you on schedule and keep you ahead of the sticks.
Unless I guess it could be too good, like it was against Alabama, and you're breaking off 40-yard runs, and then they own the time of possession. Yeah. Weirdly enough,
well, that was bizarre.
Yeah.
They should have ran it more against Bama.
That's a matter of giving up 13 of 19 on third down in a game, and just keeping the Alabama's offense on the field. But yeah, I think that's like I think that's the blueprint for beating Georgia is you have to shut down the run. So obviously that would be contrary to what's happened so far this year because Alabama got run all over and they were still able to win. But I think that's what you want to do is make them one-dimensional and force Gunnar Stockton to beat you. And I don't see a scenario where Georgia's not able to run on Ole Miss, like because on top of these numbers, not to keep bringing up Auburn, but like Auburn's significantly better numbers are against significantly better competition. Now, Arkansas has a really good offense, so I'll give them credit for having a good offense. But Kentucky is not great, and LSU's offense has not been good this year either. So, and Washington State's not good either. So, I think that's a huge factor. And I was looking at the third down conversions in these games as well because that's where it feels like Georgia has been so bad this year is just getting off the field on third down, and they're allowing 46%. Georgia's allowing 49% on third down this so far this year, and Ole Miss is allowing 37% to convert on 37% of third down. So I think that's massive. And I also would say on the other side, offensively, Ole Miss is only converting 46% of their third downs, and Georgia's converting 47% of their third downs. So that's probably an area where I would have kind of assumed Ole Miss had been better than Georgia to this point. And so Georgia being a percentage point better, or at least just saying they're essentially equal versus better competition, I think goes a long way in Georgia's edge as well.
Yeah, you've got to be able to get off the field. Like they cannot have anything close to a repeat performance of that Alabama game ever again this season in terms of the third down conversion. I mean, like they did well to get Alabama into third down situations. They got them into 19 of them, but they allowed 13 conversions. And like, you just can't do that. I guess the positive way to spin that would be, hey, look at how many times they forced Alabama into drop back passing situations. But if you're not getting off the field and cleaning up there, it doesn't really matter. So you've got to be better on third downs in this game. They weren't even like the first half against Auburn. They had a tough time getting off the field. I know they eventually got much better there, but yeah, that's going to be big, man. I mean, running the ball and, being able to finish it when you put your defense in favorable situations, like that's everything in the SEC, and it's going to be everything in this game.
Yeah, and that number goes to 41% that Ole Miss is allowing when you leave out the Washington State game. So they give up 5 for 16 on third down versus Kentucky, 9 for 12 against Arkansas, and then held LSU to 2 for 11 on third down. But yeah, it just feels like the biggest thing is just, you talk numerator and denominator, is the denominator is so much lower because Georgia's just giving up too many third downs because they're just on the field for too damn long, it feels like. Yeah. So like just seeing 19 again with Alabama, 8 of 17 Auburn was like, just they're allowing so many more third downs because they're just allowing teams to convert. So you got to get off the field for sure. And that's going to be a huge factor in this game. Are you ready to make your prediction, sir?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it. I think this is going to be a lot closer to the Tennessee game than it is to the Auburn game in terms of points that are scored. We haven't really gotten a true like Georgia versus Ole Miss shootout barn burner game, whatever you want to call it. They've both been kind of just boring games under Kirby Smart. It's one team blowing out the other, but I think that changes here. And Ole Miss has had a very good offense the entire season. Trinidad Chambliss has been a revelation, and Georgia's defense has not looked good this year. It's just not played up to the standard that we've gotten used to seeing. But I do think that Georgia is going to come out here and set the tone early. I think they're going to be able to run the ball on this Ole Miss front. I think that they're going to be able to, burn them with some play action stuff eventually. Like, Gunnar Stockton is growing up really quickly every single week. He has gotten some gutsy wins for his team, and he's had some really gutsy performances. I even thought he had even the game they lost, I thought Gunnar Stockton had a good game where you can't really take too much away from his performance in terms of negatives. But, yeah, I think that I trust Georgia to come out here. Maybe the memory of last year is burning in their mind. Maybe they put it behind them completely. Either way, I think that Georgia gets the win here, 30-27.
I like it, man. So Georgia wins but does not cover. I think
6.5 points. The spread is way too much. I'm surprised Georgia's even favored, much less by a touchdown.
I think I'm feeling more confident in this game than you are. As much as I like Trinidad Chambliss, and he's a playmaker, and this Ole Miss offense has looked really good to this point, I just don't know how legit they are. The fact that the stats of these two teams are as similar as they are in terms of what they've done versus what their competition has done. And I think the schedule, I think the level of competition has just been significantly different through these first 5 games or the first 4 games versus Power 4 competition. Like, Georgia's significantly stronger strength of schedule as far as I'm concerned. I think in Sanford Stadium, I think there's a chance this could be a blowout. Like, I think there's a chance if Georgia's running the ball like at will on Ole Miss, which I was only including their Power 4 matchups. The fact that you threw in their other matchups, they're giving up like 150 a game on the ground. Like, I think that's a red flag when going up against Georgia. Yeah. Trinidad Chambliss playing his biggest road game of his life. Like, this is not Kroger Field. Like, this is a huge step up from that. I don't know what the track record is when Kirby actually calls out the fans in his Monday press conference, but this is a week where he did it. He actually singled the fans out and said, "We got to bring the energy on Saturday." It feels like whenever he does that, the fans respond, and it's a raucous environment. So I'm going to say Georgia wins this game by multiple scores. I'm going to say Georgia 34, Ole Miss 20.
Okay.
And I think they're going to have a lot of success in this one.
That would be a huge win, man. That would be, a big statement, multiple possession win, excuse me. That's kind of exactly what this team needs to really get them back in the national conversation as far as contenders, because they haven't really looked like it in a couple weeks.
For sure. And I just looked at our preseason predictions, and I'm not sure how to feel about this. This is the exact score I predicted for the season.
Oh, wow.
And I do not feel the exact same about these two teams that I did when the season started. So I'm not really sure how to interpret that from my own perspective. But your score was 31-17, so we kind of both were thinking 2 touchdown win over Ole Miss. So it made sense for yours to be closer than you previously predicted. I'm not sure how to feel about my logic here, but let's not break it down too far. But yeah, it'll definitely be a good game. I'm leaning on Kirby Smart's 7-0 record when College Game Day comes to Athens, and hopefully he can keep that record going. I didn't look at, I guess we know those games just off the top of our heads. So how many of those were close games? So Notre Dame obviously came down to that final drive. Notre Dame had a chance to tie or a chance to win at the end. Georgia got a stop. Auburn was a blowout. 2021 Kentucky was a blowout. Arkansas was a blowout. Tennessee was a blowout. 23 Ole Miss was a blowout. So 2024 Tennessee would really be the only game I think that was truly a game. Oh, Tennessee and then 2019 Notre Dame were really the only 2 of the 7 that were games in the fourth quarter. So maybe Georgia can continue that. They got the energy and they get that College Game Day bump. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be a big game, man. They need the fans to come out there crazy. They need to have better showing than Ole Miss fans did last week.
Yeah, for sure. And this is
how many Wazoo fans are there?
I didn't. Oh no, I didn't see that.
They took over Oxford. It was crazy. There was a lot of crimson in that crowd.
Really? Wow, that's embarrassing. But yeah, looking at the rest of the slate in the SEC, a little surprised game day didn't go to Vanderbilt just because the novelty of going to Vanderbilt when they're in a ranked matchup. But LSU Vanderbilt, any thoughts on that one? Vanderbilt 1.5 point favorite over the Tigers.
Ooh, Vanderbilt is a favorite over LSU in 2025. No, I think people are a bit too down on LSU right now. I think they win that game. They've still got more talent than Vanderbilt. I think top to bottom. I think LSU not gonna. It's not a get right game or anything because Vanderbilt's a really good team, but I do think LSU is gonna get back on track with that one.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me because I think I am a believer in Diego Pavia, and against Alabama, like they held their own, you know. So I feel like it's going to be a game, but yeah, it's almost like I can't. I feel like my years of watching football won't allow me to pick Vanderbilt over LSU. Yeah. So give me LSU in that one as well. The other early game, SEC Network, Oklahoma at South Carolina. Oklahoma's a 5.5 point favorite on the road, and I mean, I guess John Mateer's playing. I don't know if he should have been playing versus Texas. I'm not even sure how to interpret what they are moving forward, but what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, a really weird game from Oklahoma last week. Mateer definitely looked like he was rushed back a little bit. That was just a rough game. But South Carolina's vibes are also kind of shot right now. I know they just recently fired their offensive line coach. They've kind of been getting their butt kicks lately, their butts kicked in general. I think Oklahoma bounces back in that one. Hopefully Mateer is healthy to go the rest of the year.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he's one of the more fun players to watch in college football when he's healthy. But I don't know. I don't feel good about this if I'm Oklahoma. I'm going to pick South Carolina to pull the upset in Williams-Brice. I think this is just in this kind of just ridiculous slate that Oklahoma has the rest of the way. What is it? So they went Texas last week. They got Ole Miss next week, at Tennessee, at Alabama, and then Missouri and LSU to finish it up. Like five ranked teams after this one this week. Feels like this is the one you're overlooking. Going into Williams-Brice, you can't overlook this. Yeah. I think this is going to be South Carolina's. This feels like it's going to be like one of the games of the season, like the LSU South Carolina was a year ago. Like it's just going to be wild. Like I don't know. South Carolina's going to make some plays. Give me the Gamecocks to pull the upset.
Okay.
Did you pick Oklahoma?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Then A&M Arkansas at 3:30. A&M's a 7.5 point favorite in Fayetteville. What do you think? You think Bobby Petrino's got an upset in him?
No, I don't ever want to pick Bobby Petrino to do anything good. I don't like that guy, and I hope that they lose.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I think A&M's legit, but Arkansas is going to beat somebody at some point because they're just too dangerous not to, and they're playing too many games not to win some of these. I wouldn't feel good about covering the spread, the 7.5 if I was A&M, but I'll take A&M to pull it out and get a win there. Mississippi State at Florida. We're going through all of them, by the way, folks, because this is the only week of the year where we get 8 SEC games, and it's incredible.
That's pretty awesome. Give me the Bulldogs. Florida got their funny win already. Against Billy, against Texas, saving Billy Napier's job and all that. But
this Did they save Billy Napier's job?
For now, he's still the coach, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, Ole Miss, this might be the most not that bad we've seen Mississippi State look since the Dan Mullen era.
Yeah.
And this is the Dan Mullen Bowl, isn't it?
That's fair.
Give me the team that he was actually good with. Give me Mississippi State.
Oh man. Mullen definitely had some good years at Florida. Let's be fair there. But yeah. In the swamp, I'm gonna go Florida. I think Mississippi State has improved this year, but I don't think Florida wins by 8.5 because I don't think Florida will beat anybody by 8.5 this year. It's gonna be another gritty game. I think it's probably like a 24-21 type of game. But yeah, give me the Gators. to win that one. Then Kroger Field, as we talked about before, 7 o'clock, Kentucky hosting the Texas Longhorns. Texas is a 12.5-point favorite on the road. What do you got?
Oh, Texas had a big win last week. They really did. Got them back in the top 25. Silenced a lot of the "is Arch Manning the worst football player of all time" conversations by the very same media that was saying he was the best football player of all time before the season. But that's neither here nor there. Kentucky is really bad, man. They might not win any SEC games this year. I don't think they're going to win this one.
No, I'd be surprised. The spread is probably a conversation because Texas offense hasn't been very good this year, but I would probably pick them to win by at least 2 touchdowns. So yeah, I'm with you there with Kentucky. Also, wasn't one of those like New York Times articles saying like, is he college football's
first
flop? First flop?
The first ever college football player to have a disappointing year.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's busts have happened for all of time. Like, I did not understand that at all. Then the third Saturday in October, sir. It's kind of, I feel like this game is always kind of depressing to me. Tennessee, Alabama, because it's called the third Saturday in October. And you're like, damn, is it already the third Saturday of October? Season's like halfway over. Tennessee number 11, Alabama number 6. Alabama's an 8.5-point favorite in this one. What do you think? Is that too many?
I'm not going to take Tennessee to win straight up. If I were a betting man, I would give them the points though. But man, I mean, Alabama has, after that Florida State loss, the way that they've regrouped, I mean, they are just humming right now. Ty Simpson is a Heisman front runner right now. The whole offense is just clicking. The defense is playing good ball. They're coming off a loss to Tennessee last year. They've lost, 2 of the last 3 against that team. I think they're going to get this one done. It helps that it's in Tuscaloosa.
Have they been humming though?
They've been playing.
Like they've been playing better than they did
really
against.
Well, man.
They were playing better than they did against Florida State, of course. But like this team beat Georgia by 3. Georgia's very good on the road. Although Georgia's kind of flawed at the same time, let's be honest.
But they've
had a close game with Vanderbilt. Beat one at Missouri by 3. Like, it's not like they're blowing people out or anything.
But they've beaten 3 really good teams in a row.
Yeah, it's a legit resume for sure. Not discounting that, but I think Tennessee is a really good team too. Like, they have their flaws. They're definitely worse defensively than this Alabama team, although both of these teams kind of have their flaws defensively. Alabama more getting run on this year, but the fact that Tennessee has been thrown on by just about everyone this year, Alabama's been run on by just about everybody this year, it feels like there's going to be a lot of points in this game. And I don't know, a shootout feels like, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm taking a shootout versus Alabama every day of the week. Like, could this game be a rock fight or a shootout? Which would you pick? Like, if I'm a Tennessee fan, give me the shootout. Like, obviously, Aguilar is a guy that can go for 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. I think that's what he did against Georgia. So he feels like that guy. He throws in enough times. He's eventually going to turn it over a couple times. But I don't know. I think I would definitely take the points or take Tennessee to cover the spread. I'm tempted to say Tennessee can win this game. But I think in Bryant-Denny, I'll take Alabama to win, but I think it's going to be very close. Like, I'd be surprised if the winner of this game doesn't have 40 points.
Yeah, this should be a really fun one, man. I'm excited for it.
For sure. And then the last one, the game that the SEC tries to hide every week, the 7:45 SEC Network game. It feels like there's never any energy in this game. Like, I think we talked about South Carolina LSU last week. Like, there was no energy in that game either. Missouri at Auburn is the 7:45 game. Obviously, Auburn just had the deflating loss to Georgia, but they get to come back with another home game this week. What are the chances the Tigers can upset the Tigers?
I think pretty good. This is an Auburn team that's like starving for a signature win, and they're coming off of a really, really frustrating, infuriating loss last week where, as much as you and I might disagree, they really feel like they won the game and it got ripped away from them by the evil officials. Missouri also coming off of emotional loss. You know, they had that Alabama game. Like they didn't play well enough to win or anything. I really thought they deserved to lose, and they did, but they could have won it. But Auburn
an opportunity for sure.
Auburn is 0-3 in the SEC right now, and they're too good for that. I think they're going to win this game.
I think I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm just going vibes wise. Other than Hugh Freeze vibes at halftime, those weren't great. So I think there is a chance that this team, it could get so negative that they just give up on the coach and stuff. But I'm with you that this team just feels too good to be 0-4 in the conference. So, and my other logic of just like everyone gets one, like that's why I started to pick Arkansas there for a second. Like everyone gets one. Like even if you're a team with a pulse, like you get somebody. And I don't know, but Bo Perbula made some mistakes last week throwing the football. This Auburn defense is better than Alabama's defense. I could see Auburn getting them. So yeah, the only problem is it's going to take 20 points to win this game. And I don't know that Auburn's offense can score 20 points. They've scored 10 last week, 10 versus A&M, 17 versus Oklahoma. They're going to have to get to that 20-point mark. But yeah, I'm with you. Give me Auburn as well. Going with the upset over Missouri.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend, man.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I don't know if is there any other, I think Miami, Louisville is a Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night. It's like at this point, outside of the SEC, it's like if it's not a Notre Dame USC is this week. That's what I was about to say. If there's not Ohio State, Miami, Indiana, or like Notre Dame, Oregon, I guess maybe you should throw in. It's like if it's not an SEC game doesn't have one of those teams, it goes to a lot further down on the radar. But yeah, I guess you got the Holy War out in Utah versus BYU this week, as well as Notre Dame USC. I don't know. You want to pick those two? Rapid fire.
I don't really know anything about either of these teams.
I'll
take Notre Dame at home. They're the favorites by almost 10, so why not?
Yeah, I'll take Notre Dame.
What's the other game?
Utah, BYU.
BYU is really good.
And they're at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Although Utah did just kill Arizona State, but Sam Levitt was out. So
yeah, exactly. Playing with Jeff Sims at quarterback.
Legend.
Wouldn't recommend it for anybody. But yeah, I'm with you there. Should be some interesting games on the slate this week. Loaded day for SEC football. But anything else you got for the good folks here, sir?
I think that's all I got, man.
All right, that's all I got as well. Let's go watch the Atlanta Falcons. Oh, we got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, right? Yeah, we'll check out the Atlanta Falcons and the Buffalo Bills. Maybe the Falcons can get a win. But
Falcons are going off right now. They're killing the Bills.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're up 21
and
moving the ball.
Oh, there we go. Doesn't do much for me or you, I guess, being the Detroit Lions fan. But it's always good when Atlanta's doing well.
Shout out to the Falcons, man.
There you go. Until next time, folks, I appreciate everyone who's tuned in live. Everyone's watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.